Welcome to Mainland News, Nelson, Tasman's local regional television station. I'm Graham O'Brien and some of the stories coming up in our weekly news roundup. Families feeling the pinch, International Environmental Award goes to Able Tasman, Nelson turns out for Mask Parade and more. The Project Janzoon Trust has received international recognition for the good environmental work that it is doing in New Zealand's busy Able Tasman National Park. The charitable trust stood up against more than 500 other nominations from around the world for this award. Project Janzoon was named the worldwide gold winner in the Conservation, Habitat and Diversity section of the Green World Environmental Awards held in Christchurch on Monday. Over the last 20 years, the Green World Awards and associated Green Apple Awards have become established as UK's major recognition for international environmental endeavour amongst countries, companies and communities. This award marks another acknowledgement for Project Janzoon, who also won both the Supreme Award and Philanthropy and Partnership category at New Zealand's premier environmental awards, the Green Ribbon Awards 2015 held in June. Chrissy Small caught up with Project Janzoon director Devon McLean about this latest award.
Devon McLean, when did you first know that you were nominated for this award?
It actually came as a result of the Green Ribbon Awards in New Zealand last year, so we got an invitation to see whether we would put our project up. So we've sort of known it was in process, but it was only a week or so ago that we found out that there was an award, and we didn't know what that was until Monday. So.
Okay, so what was the reaction when you were told the news?
Yeah, I'm very excited. It was a good event. There were people from actually all over the world there in Christchurch on Monday, from Poland, the UK, Colombia, Korea, Malaysia, and the United Arab Emirates. So different award winners in different categories. So yeah, exciting to be there.
So, were you there?
I was there.
Lots of pats on the back?
Oh yes, yeah, and lots since, as people have heard about it. So no, it's really exciting.
It's a real team effort, isn't it, Project Janzoon?
It's very much the partnership, and so we took our key partners, the Birdsong Trust from the Able Tasman and Department of Conservation. Obviously, we work very closely with them, so we see it as a partnership, and that's part of the recognition is the partners working together for this. Huge team effort.
What does it mean for Project Janzoon now?
I think the key thing is that international recognition that what we're doing is a little bit special. Roger Wallens, who's the director of the Green World Awards, commented to the media that he thought that the aspects of a philanthropic organisation and Department of Conservation and other trusts working together was pretty unique, and that was one of the aspects that they particularly liked about the project. So nice to get that model out there and have other people looking at it, and hopefully it'll inspire some other philanthropists to take a look at working on a similar basis.
Well, that's good news. And now tell me, how is it going in there in the Able Tasman?
Oh, we're really excited. We've made great progress on the weed control. Most of the pines have now gone from the park, the invasive conifers. We've got another big weed program working. 2 weeks ago we brought our first kaka back into the park, so they're currently at our release aviary in the top of the park, and on the 4th of November we'll be releasing them into the park. They're all girls because we think the only ones left in the park are a few boys, so we're hoping that that's going to work out well, and we'll be bringing more kaka in. So yeah, it's nice to be sort of feeling like the securing side of the project is getting under control, and we can move on to the restoration piece.
Right, well there's obviously a lot of work, a lot of people have been involved in this, and looks like we're going to have some great weather over the summer to do more.
Absolutely. Unfortunately we're going to have another beach mast as well, so that'll add some complications, but we'll work our way through that.
Yes, of course that brings in all the rodents, and they come in a great force of numbers, I believe. Yes,
they do, and the last one was only the summer before last, so it's a bit of a challenge, but we're working on that, and the birds are thriving anyway, so it's great.
1080, has that been an issue for Project Janzoon at all?
It hasn't really been an issue. I mean, obviously it was a conversation we needed to have with the community to be ready for the beach mast last time. In the end, we had really great support from the community and the concession operators and so on. It's just an essential tool for those circumstances where we know we're going to have masses of food in the park and the rodents are just going to go through the roof, and they did exactly what the scientists had told us they would in terms of populations. So mice spiking, rats spiking, stoats following that. It's something we're going to have to deal with from time to time, and at the moment that's still the best tool.
What about the effects of 1080 on the newly introduced kaka?
All of the studies around these birds indicate that there's no issue with them, and I think really the only issues that we've had with 1080, not in this park but in other places, have been with, well, particularly with Kia in a couple of places where they become habituated to living around people and they become so curious about the things we do, so a new pellet in the environment is of interest to them. But the dock scientists have done a great job of their monitoring of a range of species now, and we can't say that no birds ever die, but we can certainly say that the populations improve significantly as they get a chance to breed free of the problem.
Devon, look, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations to the whole team from Mainland, and I'm sure the community. What a great job.
Thanks, Chrissy. That's great.
Wildfires are everyone's nightmare, and with the windy season upon us, add to that a long dry summer on the menu, forest and scrub fires become a real threat to our environment and people's lives. Chrissy Small caught up with Tasman Rural Fire Chief Ian Reid about how people can help prevent fires this season as the risks continue to grow.
Ian Reid, we're coming up to that season where we don't like it, but unfortunately the summer does bring on the more dangerous aspects of the potential for fire. We've just had some rather large winds. This in a fire is pretty precarious. How's the situation at the moment for rural fire?
Well, like you say, the winds elevate the risk considerably, especially in scrub fuels like gorse and fern and bracken. They have two effects. One is that they dry everything out, so they're drying the grass out at a faster rate than normal. And the other thing is, if a fire does start, then it'll be fanned by the wind, and it will spread a lot faster and potentially do more damage.
Those sorts of winds that we've seen over the last few days, I mean, they're more like Marlborough winds, aren't they?
Well, they are, and the wind that we're getting is a foehn wind. It's a southwest wind, so the moisture is coming through off the Tasman Sea. It's been dropped on the west coast, and then what's left of that rises up over the hills, heats up, and then comes down. So it lowers humidities. We've been getting humidities down in the 20% range, which is really unheard of for this time of the year. So combined with low humidity, strong winds, and high temperatures, that's sort of a recipe for good fire weather.
Now, look, you know, this is about people now realising that there is a higher risk at this time, and it's probably going to go throughout summer. So what can they do to help stop or prevent fires, or even protect themselves if there should be a fire in their area?
Well, for a start, all fires in the open air need a permit, and we, at some point, if it continues like it is, we will be restricting permits. We are issuing them with a very big caution around lighting them if it's going to be windy or forecast to be windy. People, when the grass starts to cure and starts to brown off, and that's happening in some parts of the district even now. We've had 2 fires that have spread from controlled burns since the weekend. One that burned half a hectare, much to the owner's surprise, where he thought the grass wouldn't burn. So it's really a matter of ensuring that if they have a fire, they put it out, and if they've had a fire in the previous 2 months, check regularly to make sure that it's out. If there's a pile of ashes there could be hot ashes underneath. When mowing or grinding or welding anything in the outdoors, be very careful, and once the grass starts to cure, even things like parked vehicles in long grass can start fires with exhaust, and particularly four-wheelers, those kinds of things. So anything that's a heat source, be very careful around it. We're coming into the fireworks season, and I guess the community needs to be vigilant and diligent to look out for those people that may not be using fireworks in a sensible manner, and watch out for them. We had a number of fires last year around fireworks in Guy Fawkes. I'd like to think we don't have the same thing this year.
Right. Yes, I've witnessed a hoon throwing a firework out of a car which started a scrub fire. Fortunately, I was there, so it didn't go far. But, you know, those sorts of things, people just do thoughtless acts. This must be your worst nightmare.
Well, it is, particularly if it's completely preventable like that. People need to be reminded if they start a fire like that in the rural environment, they are liable for the cost of putting it out and any damage that it does. And that's material damage. Think about the damage that you're doing to people's lives, livelihoods and families that fire could do.
Well, fire's a dangerous thing, we all know that, and people have lost their lives recently with the caravan fire just here locally. How can people report an idiot?
111, you know, just call 111. Or if and report the smoke or the activity either to the police or the fire service through Firecom, and we'll get to hear about it. The other thing that people can do coming into summer is to make sure, have a look around their property. If a wildfire was to come through from outside, it's usually embers landing on the property that'll burn it down. So, you know, make sure the gutters are free of dried leaves and material. Anywhere on your deck that where embers can blow and gather, you know, take care of that. Take away the needles from around the edge of the house and the burnable material. If you can, replace it with rock, and thin out your vegetation sort of away from the house so that a fire can't carry right up to your house. Right.
Now, in situations with rural fire, do you rely on volunteers, or is it a bigger, more organisation than that?
No, we rely solely on volunteers, and if it wasn't for them, we would have some very damaging large fires in this district. Last year we burnt a big sum total of just under 6 hectares, and the reason why that number was so low, and it was low the year before too as well, is that our volunteers get out there and get onto it very quickly and knock it down before it does damage. So, you know, every time they get called out, it is a disruption to them and their lives and their families, but it's what they've volunteered to do, and we're very grateful for what they do provide.
Right.
You know?
Now, we've had situations where people have been prosecuted. We've had one man caught doing an arson in a forest. We've had other people caught up with having a little burn off which got out of control. There is a warning there, isn't there?
Well, there is, and you know, there's always, I guess, people in society that are not so well and could potentially, you know, become arsonists. And I guess that's the whole community: be diligent, and if you realise there's somebody that may be doing that sort of thing, you know, get hold of authorities and talk to them about it, because there is help for people like that. There are programs in place that agencies run for that kind of thing, and. Yeah, it's you know, if it's the community's issue, and it's really the community that's got to deal with it. We're really the facilitators of you know, the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff when we're responding, but we can also help out with preventative campaigns and advice on how people can keep themselves safe. So, you know, feel free to get hold of us.
Okay, people's advice now. You've given us some good tips to keep safe and keep fire away, and now it's just people's common sense. Don't light it if you don't have to.
Yeah, keep an eye on those mountains over by Mount Arthur. If you see the clouds sitting in between the mountains and rolling over this way, it means the wind's going to blow. The same with you know, Ben Nevis or Gordon's Knob, the mountains to the west. If they've got a cloud cover over them, a wind cap, then it's going to blow. So, you know, and have a look at the weather forecast. Met Service is a great thing.
Ian Reid, thank you very much, and let's hope you have a break this summer.
Yeah, here's to a quiet summer. Thanks.
Many charitable organisations are finding themselves stretched to cope with demand. I spoke with Nelson's Salvation Army Captain Kevin Waugh, who is Community Ministries Officer for Nelson, to find out if there's been an increase in people requiring assistance. Captain Kevin Waugh, thanks for spending a couple of minutes to talk with us today. Are you finding there's an increased demand for Salvation Army services in the region?
At the moment, I think it's about the same as last year, but there is more of a demand for budgeting, which is because the money is just not going as far, particularly around the housing. rentals are quite expensive. If they're on a benefit, it doesn't stretch, and then there's a need because they can't buy the food or they can't pay for power or the essentials. So we're getting a lot more for that sort of thing.
Right, and there seems to be a growing number of homeless in Nelson. Do you provide for these people as well through Salvation Army?
We don't have any emergency housing at all here in Nelson. We have to use what's in the community, and so for the men, there's a men's shelter, but that's limited by space. For the women, there is actually no, as I understand, emergency housing, and so it's a matter of hunting around what is available, where can we get them, and sometimes it's very, very hard to find. Yeah.
Yeah, that's surprising to hear, isn't it? And also the men's shelter has a time limit on it, I understand, do you know?
I think there's a week or so at the most, but yeah, they're easier to find somewhere to house overnight, and then try and work with them to get somewhere better. Yeah.
Sure, and as we know, the women are more vulnerable, where they can't just kip out maybe under a bridge like the men can.
No, a lot of the women that would come in here have children as well, and that makes another part of that, trying to find accommodation. Yeah.
It's a sad fact of our society at the moment. Can you give us just a general rundown of what services you do provide for us in the community?
Okay, well, we get people coming in seeking food assistance, budgeting. We can do some counselling. We've got counsellors and we've got social worker. Advocate for people. We'll go with them to work and income or whatever service they're trying to deal with, and they're not understanding what that group's saying. So a lot of the time it's just being there, and they explain their story, and we just fine-tune it a little bit so that whoever they're talking to understands where they're coming from.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's more of a support role in making sure people know what's going on and what they're entitled to.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that just don't understand what's been asked of them, and they get confused, and then they can get a little hot under the collar sometimes. We'll be an agent for a person that maybe has been barred from working income, for various reasons, and of course they're a little bit more sensitive today with the issues that have happened around the country, so they're very, very security conscious, for their staff. So we try and work with everybody to get the best outcome for them.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point that you make, that people sometimes can't go to WINS anymore because of something that's happened before. I mean, what had happened to those people? And also that people are not quite understanding the bureaucracy of it all.
Yeah, it gets quite confusing for some people. What's, the paperwork. We'll get people coming in here and we'll help them through writing out what they need to do. And then, if they've unfortunately been, trespassed, then they have to sit here and we become their agent, or there's other agencies out here that do the same thing, but we're just one of many trying to help people get back on their feet.
Yeah, that's great, and everyone really appreciates the services that Salvation Army provides and the other community organisations. Do you feel that there's a different group of people coming for help, or are we still looking at the same kind of people that we always envisioned being in having trouble in society?
I don't think it's changed at all. I think that maybe we have more single mums with their children, and that could be a little bit higher, but on the whole it comes in waves. Yeah, and I think that's dependent on the seasonal work that people can get around Nelson, in the district. When people have got work, then they've got income. When that falls over or it stops, then there's a demand, and we have to try and meet that.
Sure, and any kind of emergency always puts people down and under their normal position, isn't it?
Yeah, they can't see that light at the end of the tunnel. They just see this mess that's there, and so it's working with them to get through that. Yeah.
Great, Captain Kim Ward, thanks very much for your comments and your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Some local residents are concerned about the risks of having a smart meter installed on their homes as our power providers begin gearing up to install these meters around the region. Concerns include health risks and power costs. Utility companies here and in the US claim that meters are safe and accurate, but unexplained overbilling has featured in many negative reports. According to the SAGE report written by scientific environmental experts, smart meters can exceed the FCC public safety limits under some conditions of installation and operation. Smart meters can also produce excessively elevated radio frequency exposures depending on where they are installed. Chrissy Small spoke to environmental lawyer Sue Gray about people's rights over allowing or preventing installation of these smart meters by their power supplier.
Now, Sue, we've had a inquiry from a customer out in Motueka about the fact that Contact Energy have sent them a letter saying that they are going to install a smart meter on the house. Now, as far as they were concerned, it sounded like it was a done deal and they weren't happy about it. But after I contacted Contact Energy, they informed me that it was purely optional, so these people could opt out. I'm concerned about if people don't know that, you know, what are their rights? Because this is one power supplier that's putting smart meters in, but there are others that'll no doubt want to go down that same road. Where do they stand legally?
Right, so if you own the property, you can choose what you have on your property and you're quite entitled to say, no, I don't want a smart meter, thank you. And there are a whole lot of reasons why people are saying that they don't want smart meters. People are concerned about privacy, health and safety issues, just all the uncertainties. There's a whole lot of reasons. And if you're concerned for any one reason, you can say no.
Right, so what if they get threatened with being taken off the power grid?
Yeah, look, the power companies do threaten in different ways, and some are quite aggressive in their threats, but legally, my understanding is they have to provide power. You don't have to have their meter, and in fact we know that because we've been encouraged in recent years to change power companies for the best deal. They don't change their meter every time you change power company. There's a meter, as long as it's an approved meter, that's all you need. It doesn't matter who put the meter in.
Right, okay. So basically the law is with the homeowner. The homeowner can choose whether to go for a smart meter or not. Where can they find out more about smart meters?
Right. There's a lot of information on the internet. There's a very good documentary called Take Back Your Power that you can get free off the internet, and it's got a whole lot of explanations about the different reasons that people are concerned about smart meters. There's various websites. I think Stop Smart Meters is a New Zealand one. There's a whole lot of international ones. You can Google under electromagnetic radiation, and there's a lot of information there about the health effects of electromagnetic radiation. That if you Google under the World Health Organization, you'll see that they classified radio frequency electromagnetic radiation as a class 2B carcinogen back in 2011.
Right.
And there's a big 400 and something page report that goes with that if you want to understand all the reasons why their expert scientists did that.
Okay, so if someone has already had a smart meter installed, what can they do about getting rid of it?
It's a lot harder to get rid of them once they're in. It's not impossible. The best thing, if you're not sure, is say, no, I don't want it, before it's been put in. But my argument for people that have got one and they didn't actually give informed consent when it was put in, if they weren't given all of the information about all of the risks associated with it. So if they were misled into having one, then they're quite entitled to say, well, now that I've got all the information, please take it out and give me an old style analogue meter. I don't want a smart meter.
Okay, so they're fully within their rights.
They're fully within their rights to do that.
Who would front the cost for that?
Well, if they've been misled and something's been put in that's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, or it's causing health effects, or it's causing breach of health and safety requirements, so it's making them sick, or they've got any concerns that it might be, or it's affecting their neighbours or their children or whatever, then that's something that the power company shouldn't have put in the first place without warning them, and so it should be at the power company's cost.
Right. Okay, now I've read the SAGE report, which was conducted, well, it was a report conducted by scientific experts in the field. It makes it's long reading, but it makes very interesting reading, and it doesn't sound like these things are that great for the health.
No, they're not that great for the health. I've just come back from a conference in Sydney about the health effects of electromagnetic radiation, particularly in schools. There's Wi-Fi in schools, but it's much the same principle, whether it's a smart meter, a cordless phone, a cell phone, or Wi-Fi. What we've got at the moment, we've got a standard in New Zealand that protects against the immediate heating effects, so the microwave oven type effects, the death, burns and electric shock effects, and that's all it ever was designed to protect against. But what all of these reports and scientists are now saying around the world is there's a lot of other effects on your DNA, effects on your cell membranes, effect on your stress hormones, effect on your immune system, on your sperm. Radiation kills sperm, damages sperm.
So it's all long-term effects, and it's something we're not seeing daily, other than those who may be getting, a bit of nausea or headaches.
Yeah, there are some people who are electrosensitive, and they get almost immediate effects. They get instant headaches, they get heat rashes on their skin, they can get nosebleeds, and that's a really well recognised condition internationally, electrosensitivity. It's like an allergic reaction to an overdose of radiation. And what's an overdose to me might not be an overdose for you. We've all got our own thresholds. But for the people who are electrosensitive, they get instant, serious reactions at really tiny levels, much smaller levels than the smart meter puts out, especially if the smart meter is just on the other side of the wall of their bedroom or their living area where they're sitting, or their office, or somewhere they're spending a lot of time.
Okay, so really people need to actually do a bit of research on what these smart meters are. Pay to look at wireless altogether, wouldn't it?
Well, what they're recommending internationally is hardwiring your home. So you can still have internet. No one's saying don't have technology, but they're saying have the best technology. Have hardwired Ethernet. It's faster. It's safer. It doesn't have these radiation effects. You can use lots of devices all at the same time, whereas the Wi-Fi devices can only talk to one at a time. So the more you're using, the slower it gets.
Right.
So and with smart meters, do we even need it? Isn't it just a bit lazy? Isn't it just putting people out of jobs to stop them coming round to read our meters?
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
Edward Gibbon, the bathroom specialist, have a great range of bathroom ideas at their showroom at 23 McGlashan Ave in Richmond. Call in and check out some of the latest bathroom designs and fittings. Edward Gibbon, the bathroom plumbing and drainage supply specialist, 23 McGlashan Ave, Richmond.
I'm Francis from Nelson Auto Glass. We repair all auto glass, stone chips, windscreen replacements, scratch removal.
If you have an auto glass issue, our team will sort it.
Nelson Auto Glass Specialist, 84 Vanguard Street, Nelson.
Sit and Be Fit is on at the Victory Community Centre Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Victory Community Church, 238 Upper Vanguard Street. School terms only. Fun while you get fitter, work at your level. On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.